Hello everybody, welcome back to X-Plane 11. Today we are in San Diego, California, looking up at this wonderful Boeing 737-900 aircraft that's going to be taking us up to, well I guess, yeah, up to Denver, Colorado, or Colorado, if you're weird. Alright, so, what are you doing? Baggage truck. Alright, well, so this 737, last time I did this, we were flying for, I believe it was from Vancouver to San Francisco, I think, or to LA. Can't remember which. Um, I've flown on, I've done the 737 before on this channel. I didn't really like it that much. I could have done better. I can do better. I'm gonna do better. My mic was up. I just realized. Oh, that's gonna do something to the audio, I bet. So this is not the Zibo 737. So Zibo, he created a 737-800. That's been like the main freeware, if not the only like true to life 737, I believe, for X-Plane. I'm not too sure, but that's what I've used. This is different. This is not Zibo. It still uses a lot of Zibo systems, I believe, especially the EFB, but it's different. It's completely different. This is the LevelUp 737. It's a freeware series of 737 aircraft, ranging from the 737-600, which I took a look at. It is very short. I didn't know the 737-600 was that short. It's a little stub, all the way up to the 737-900 ER. It's the only 737 in the series that is the ER version. But still, this is not the ER. This is just a regular 737-900, but it's got like the 600, the 700, the 800, and the 900. They're all, you know, they're all physically and systematically different. The cabin's been revamped. The exterior and interior model has been revamped. The textures on like the cockpit and all that, they're different. In fact, the textures in general are different. You cannot use Zibo liveries. Zibo liveries are not compatible with this 737 pack. You have to get your own separate thing for them. And we are here in this wonderful United livery. We're flight 1985 to Denver, from KSAN to KDEN, and let's get up in this aircraft. I'm actually gonna walk up the air stairs. I think I got the height wrong, but that's okay. Greeted by this nice next generation 737 Boeing Sky interior. Got the United thing right there, Star Alliance member. So yeah, this is it's the 737 NG series. This is kind of similar to like what PMDG does. Instead of having a specific model, they have a collection of models grouped into one package. You got nice. It's nice. I will admit, it is just nice. But let's get into the cockpit. I am gonna walk there. This cockpit door is definitely interesting because, if we just close it real quick, yeah. Oh yeah. This door is apparently sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Apparently Boeing really got that sponsorship. It's a 5G compatible door. When I first saw this, I was questioning everything, but it's hilarious. All right. Ooh. Oh, okay. That's odd. There's definitely more space here, I think, in the 900. This was like a big block of circuit breakers. Now, speaking of these circuit breakers, you can't actually interact with them, but I just want you to look at like, these are great details. Like, everything can be read, like, it looks fantastic. I believe on the Zibo, these, you know, they're there, but they are definitely not this high quality, I don't think. Yet again, I've never inspected the circuit breaker panel, but I mean, like, it's still just, it's great. Again, it's still got some 737, it's got some Zibo functionality, you know. A lot of the systems from the Zibo are put into place. There are some things that are different, but for a big portion of it is still the same. Still can't open the door. I mean the window. It's unfortunate, but that's all right. That's all right. Just looking at the 737-900, it is a great plane. Look, it's a great looking plane. The 737 itself is a great looking plane. I love the 900. I love the 800. The 800 is what I've flown the most in flight sims, but you know, still, this is a great plane. I actually found out that this was freeware. I saw something on the flight sim subreddit of someone having a 737 Max, and I was like, where in the world did you get a 737 Max for X plane? And they said it was a modified 737 from Zibo, and I was like, oh, okay. So I looked it up. I couldn't find it, but then I remembered, oh, well, you know, LevelUp released their 737 NG recently, so maybe that includes the Max. It doesn't. It doesn't, but I'm still glad that I looked it up. I honestly expected this to be payware. It's surprisingly not. As you can see, the EFB is still very similar to the Zibo. It's still somewhat different, but you know, for the most part, it is the same. Just making sure. Oh yeah, by the way, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I personally have had a good one. So I got a crossbow for one. Another thing I got was a honeycomb alpha. So I actually have like a full-on yoke now. Goes great with my Bravo. Now I'm also jerry-rigging my rudder system. So on Microsoft Flight Sim, you can have individual rudder axes. So like you have rudder left axis, rudder right axis. In X-Plane and FSX, you don't have that. And since I now have a yoke, and what I would use is my my pedals for I have a racing pedal from a Logitech Momo. Those don't work as rudder pedals for X-Plane and FSX. And since I don't have my joystick with the Z-twist, like I still have it, but I don't really want to set it up. So what I'm using instead for my rudder pedal is actually the steering wheel portion of the Momo. And it's not completely unrealistic, like it's kind of like a tiller. The only issue now in FSX, I do have a good dead zone on it, so I can leave it centered. And it's, you know, it's nice, you know. In X-Plane, I don't really know how the control, like the axis patterns are. I don't know how they work. I tried to set a dead zone, but I couldn't. So it's, you know, weird. It's definitely weird steering with a wheel, steering a plane with a wheel instead of pedals. But you know, it's whatever. Still got the hat switch. I've got some buttons for trim. Aileron, elevator, and rudder trim. I've got a button here to disconnect the autopilot and flight directors. God, I'm dying. Alright. Let's go ahead and at least get this plane somewhat up and running. I'm turning on the dome light. I actually haven't seen the dome light. Odd. It isn't working at all. Like it is, but nothing is physically happening with the lighting. That might be because I have the batteries off. I'm also going to be using the checklists here. I've never used the checklists here, so I don't know how this is going to go. It's set to be detailed. So I'm just going to see how this goes. So battery switch, we're going to close the guard. GPU or APU. We don't actually have the GPU connected. So real quick, I'm going to connect that. There we go. Alright, how's my audio? Alright. I think that's good. Alright. Back to checklists. Got that. We're going to close the standby power. I am gonna fire up the APU. Don't get me wrong. I am gonna fire that up. I'm gonna arm the emergency lights. Get that on. That's a little loud for me. If it's just gonna turn down my headset volume there a little. I don't know how much that's gonna. I don't think it should. Yeah, okay, it didn't affect it. I was gonna say it shouldn't affect the audio, but I don't know. It might. Oh, I didn't. I keep on. Every time I've started up this APU recently, I've always forgotten to hit that aft fuel pump switch. I flew the 747 once where it automatically turns on the fuel pump, and for some reason I've just completely blanked on having to toggle a switch for the fuel pump to start up the APU. Don't know why, but I have. I'm gonna go ahead and align the IRS there. While the APU continues to fire up, we're just gonna set our position. What gate am I at? Gate. Go. APU gens available. Do that. Disconnect from the ground power. Alright. Voice recorder. There is no voice recorder switch, believe it or not. Oh, also, local light on. Nav lights on. I'm gonna turn on the bleeds. Isolation valve open. You guys go to auto. Recirc fans. Auto. Trim air, I'm gonna turn that on. I'm gonna turn on the engine hydraulic pumps, and I'll keep the electric hydraulic pumps off for just a little bit longer. You're on APU gen, you're on BAT. Turn on the yaw damper there. Turn on the window heat. Now I'm probably skipping things in the checklist, but I am gonna go through the checklist. I'm just going off of like muscle memory from what I remember from flying the Zibo so much, and going through my checklist on that I have. I would use that. I don't feel like using that. I don't know why, because it's literally right next to me. I also just kind of want to use this because I've never used it. ELT light should be closed. Yep. Guard closed. PSEU light. I don't know what that is, though. I think that's one of these, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. But, let's see. I don't know what PSEU is, but, I don't know this. It's fine. GPS light. I didn't see that either, so. Service interphone is, off. Engine panel. What does it mean by engine panel? This is why I should use my checklist. You know what? You know what? You know what? Oh, yeah, by the way, so the way I have my desk, the way it is, I have my Alpha sitting on a keyboard tray. I've never used this in my life. But there is a little bit of gap between the actual desk part and the slide out bit. So when the thing is fully pressed up, when the Alpha is fully pressed up, there's like this little gap because of the USB-C cable to attach it. It would always, I couldn't plug it in because of this little bar on my underneath the glass, because I do have a glass desk. So whenever I move the yoke, like push it in or pull it out, it would always move the keyboard tray. And so I wedged something. I wedged my wallet between the Honeycomb Alpha and my desk to prevent that. It works, okay? Look, I have a say. If it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. Alright, anyways. I am going to release the plugging brake because I have the chocks in. The battery's guard, that's weird. Yeah, FMC is not set, but I'll set the FMC, but before I set the FMC, we're gonna edit our weight and balance here. Let's open up SimBrief real quick. Where? Block fuel, 17,610 pounds. I'm gonna give myself a couple thousand pounds of contingency. Even though this should already have a contingency, I've noticed though, whenever I've actually filled my plane up to about like even a little bit over block fuel, I'm always below my minimum takeoff fuel by the time I'm ready for takeoff, so I have to fuel up. So I just like to give myself a little contingency for that, and for the fact that SimBrief isn't perfectly aligned with the actual systems in the planes. There are always going to be some minor variations. So I like to give myself a little bit of fuel to make up for that. It's also what Microsoft Flight Sim does to you when you have planes that aren't fully in tune with their real life counterpart, along with Microsoft Flight Sim just being Microsoft Flight Sim and having weird fuel consumption layers. I didn't even change my payload. Fuel is set, but a payload, let's see, we have 143 passengers on board for a payload of 32.9 tons. Go DPI. 32.9. I could just type in 32.9, but I've also noticed that whenever I do that, it just resets it, and I don't know why, and I don't like that, but there we go. Flight changes. We're good. We're good. We are good. We are good. In that department, now I actually just need to set up the FMC itself. So, position in it is set. Thank you. You pulled a CRJ on me. Thank you. The CRJ usually does that, but the Zibo never did that. Alright. Flight number, I'm going to go ahead and set that. United Airlines, flight 1985. Also, this United library, I really lucked out on it because as of recording this, there are 6 libraries available for the 737-900 from LevelUp. So, yeah. Alright, so co-route, what is the company route? I'm gonna just do what the fly-by-wire A320 always shows me, and that's just minus the K, minus the national identifier. So, SAN to DEN, and let's see. Valid entry. Alright. To be fair, I don't actually know what that is. Not gonna save it. Departure, runway 27 on the Zoo 2. And our transition is MT ball, out ball. Route, we're gonna go ahead and just execute that. It might give me a discount, but who cares? Direct to Echo Delta. I need to stop speaking fast. And then the Juliet 236. To Tango Bravo Charlie. I want to start actually using phonetic alphabet. I need to get into a habit of that. I usually do that when I'm flying on my own because, yes, I do actually say the flight plan out loud when I'm putting it in. It just helps me remember. It's specifically saying the actually, like, for TBC right here, saying Tango Bravo Charlie also helps hammer in my brain what it actually is. Because if I just said the letters, sometimes I forget, but I don't think I've ever forgotten when I actually say it out loud. And then direct to RA. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and execute that and then go to arrivals here. So K16 right. I'm gonna do an ILS 16 right. On the PEC 3. Or Peak, I guess, sorry. Peak 3. From there to I'll use Kaylee as our transition. Jesus. Alright, route. Execute. We're gonna go into the legs page and just look for any discontinuities. I'll be real supply. Okay, there's a vector. There's not meant to be. Delete. Don't double it. I'll be upset if you double it. Alright, thank you. Alright, so for the first time in a long time, I've actually gotten a flight plan put into the FMC without me having to skip a waypoint or make up one. Hallelujah. This is great. This is great. Alright, I'm gonna come here. Cruising altitude is flight level 370. Go. The cost index is 29. Transitional altitude 18,000. Go ahead and do that. Our plan, our block fuel is 17.6. I'll put that. 17.6 versus the planned. The planned 17.6 versus the actual 19.2. If you want to redo that, you can. Reserves. I've never known exactly what to set when it says reserves. I mean, it always makes sense for, you know, to be reserves. But, I mean, here on SimBrief it says 2.3 tons in the fin res, which I believe is like fin reserves. That's usually where the reserves are. But also I just don't know, because if you see here, there's nothing, like, I don't know. So what I usually do is I just set 0, and it's always worked for me, so I'm going to do it this time. Go. In one limitations. I don't know how to set this either. Takeoff. We're going to be doing a flaps 15 takeoff, just because why not. V1 115, VR 117, V2 131. That's our gross weight and our takeoff weight. CG. You know, it'd be really nice of you if you could give me a trim, but okay. It usually doesn't give me a trim if I didn't set up the performance fully. But I mean, I don't really, like, what can I do? Cruising wind. I don't know. What are my winds? I don't even know my winds. The average wind is going to be 263 at 049 knots. But that's not necessarily my cruise winds. That's just the average. But I guess, yeah, I guess my average winds would be my cruise winds, because that's where most of my flight's gonna be. So 263, I'll put it 263/49. Verify takeoff speeds. I don't know why that would affect those, but it didn't. Please, God, I don't know what to set my trim if you don't tell me. Like, okay, SimBrief. If I scroll down, it does say trim. I don't like the OFP. It says stabilizer trim, which is my elevator trim. It's always blanked out though. There's nothing there. I don't like it. Like it'd be great if it could tell me, hey, this is what your estimated trim's gonna be, so I would at least know. I don't know why this a lot of times doesn't fill out. I also don't really know what I can do to change it. I'm gonna go back to the index, even though, yeah. Oh, yeah, our IRS is aligned. Alright, climb. I probably won't be using VNAV. I'll use VNAV. Let's see, cruise altitude, yeah, it's target speed 287 and then 0.74, sorry. Speed restrictions 250 under 10. Cruise 70, target speed 0.75. This changes depending on your oh lord. This changes depending on your cost index. This is what the plane thinks based on your cost index is the great thing. So I'm going to use that. I'm not going to use what I usually do. I'm going to say what the plane wants me to do, because that's probably, the plane's smarter than me. It's got billions of data that it processes like every single second. So I'm going with what it wants me, what it says I should do, instead of what I want it to do. I hope this also works fully. The Zibo had a tendency to, you know, freeze on me. Same with the fly-by-wire A320. I'm hoping that this doesn't. Alright, I think we're good in terms of that. FMC is set. Transponder. I'm just gonna set a... Oh, hey Siri. Give me a random 4-digit number. And then that's, you know, you could... I wanted what you want, Siri, but okay, I guess I'll put up 7727. Well, I think that might be... Yeah, how about you do that again? How about you do that again? There we go. The first one it gave me is too close to an emergency code. The other one it gave me is impossible to do. Because this only goes up to 7. There we go. 3465. That's our transponder code. You're on standby. Alright, so the transponder is set. We're gonna, even though this isn't fully gonna matter because we're using VNAV. VNAV does this on its own. But there we go, 250 knots. Heading, let's see, we're taking off runway 27, so I'll set 275, even though AviTab would tell me the actual course. And we're also going to be using VNAV, so initial altitude. I'm going to just set cruise out, because that's what I normally do. Actually, though, I am not going to be able to use VNAV. I'm going to be doing something. So typically in congested airports, not like in New York or Los Angeles, they give you, ATC will I need to stop speaking fast, would give you a climb restriction until you're above a certain altitude or just out of the airspace. I'm going to be doing that. I can't do that. Got it. So I'm actually going to be needing to use like heading select. I'm not gonna be able to use VNAV until I pass. I'm gonna say 10,000 because that's what I normally do. We're gonna be climbing at 2,000 feet per minute though. Oh my God, man, my voice is just dead inside apparently. All right. Window heat is on. Cruising altitude. I'm gonna set that right here. 370 landing altitude. Typically I don't have to do this, but I'll go ahead and do it. 7,000. But again, this is on auto, meaning it'll do it everything automatically, so that's kind of obsolete. Flight director's on. We'll turn on LNAV, but vertical speed. Alright. Someone woke up with an attitude. I'll just set this back. 250. Apparently that's not going to work until I'm up in the air. That's fine. Cruising gal, that's good. That's good. Minimums. Typically minimums are 200 not. Well, I don't know what's happening with me. I've been able to talk fine, like, you know, all day for the, you know, 5 hours I've been awake, and then I go to record and then I die. Alright, that said, I am going to need an AviTab. Why am I loading up that? I have this. Airport, KSAN, San Diego International. Let's see. Alright, that's nice. Weather is, let's see, altimeters are 3018. 3018. And it should have set it over there. Yep, I'll set it on the standby here too. 3018. Alright. Auto brake. Projected takeoff. Comm radios. I'm not using ATC because the default one sucks. Doors are doors are not closed. Also, parking brake. Set. Shocks. Removed. Air stairs. Are those actually... Holy crap. Well, that's different than the Zibo. That's just like done. I still find that a very cool thing. That's not very common on modern 737s, but still, it's still a very cool thing. You don't see planes with air stairs typically. Man, that is cool. That is still a very cool thing. All right, doors, forward entry and cargo doors closed. All right. All right. Okay. Better pushback pre-plan. Let's see, we're taking off runway 27. Which one's near 9? Meaning, why am I even going that way? Because obviously, if that one's not 27, then the other one is. All right, 27. There we go.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Oh my god. Just, Jesus. Alright, I think I should turn you down a little. The engines are typically louder than what I'm hearing now. It's still pretty loud though. Alright, so doors are closed. Before start checks. That depends. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't really know what I'd be missing though. I just feel like I'm missing something. I think I'm good. Maybe. Alright, before start checklist, auto throttle is armed. Fuel pumps are all on. Electric hydraulic pumps on. Anti-collision lights on. Parking brake, I'll keep it set until we get the guys up. Ground equipment should be removed by now. Engine area should be clear by now. Display unit is on that. Alright, we're gonna call up our guys.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is trapping up.
That's a little odd, but okay. That should just bring us in on a nice long final. There we go. Alright. Say you 20 miles. And set you 20 miles. Now I want everybody to know something real quick. I have not flown the 737 with this yoke. I have flown the A320. I have flown the CRJ. I've flown Cessnas and Beechcraft. Yeah, I've not flown the 737 with this yoke. So
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
essentially what I'm saying is, if this goes weirdly, don't judge. I've also never used the steering wheel as a rudder. I don't have 3 arms, so it's gonna be odd. Once I set toga, I've gotta have a hand on the yoke and a hand on the wheel to maintain center. So this is gonna be interesting, you know. In FSX, I had a very nice takeoff in the DC-10 with the yoke and the wheel method. And in Microsoft Flight Sim, you know, I don't use the wheel except for like a toe brake because the A320 is weird, and if you hold down a brake button and then you let off of it, it takes a very long time for the brakes to come off.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Parking brake is released.
Start pushback. And you may start engines.
Alright, clock's running. Let's start up those engines. Packs are off. Engine 2 start, ground. Start valves open, and 2 is increasing. Alright, then the other one will be good too. Alright, just wanted to check that before I took off. Or before I got pushed back. You know what I meant. Alright. Alright, engine 1 start ground. Oh my god, that still hurts. Alright, 25%. I'll tell you a story while we're taxiing. Ow. That's still swollen. Yep. Oh, it's gotten worse since. Ooh. It's fine. Alright, start valves closed. Alright. I'm gonna turn on the, connect to the engine generators. Probe heat on. Anti-ice not required. Packs to auto. Isolation valve auto. APU bleed off. APU off. Engine starts to continuous. There we go. Flaps. Gonna go ahead and set it 1, 2, 5, 10, 15. That should be 15. Alright, pitch trim. Well, that's awkward. Hey, you wanna give me my takeoff
complete. Set parking brake.
trim? No? Alright, well. Parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
I'll just set what it normally is. Like, it's typically like that. I'll set it. If it gets mad at me for my stabilizer trim being out of range, well, recall. Checked. Lower display unit is off. Taxi lights, I'll wait until those guys are out. Disconnect and hand signals. Alright. You know, I thought the engines were louder than this. Really did. I'm scared to click vertical speed. I'm gonna wait until I'm in the air to set that. Alright, my flaps went to 10 degrees.
Tow is
15.
disconnected and bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. Well, see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thank you. Alright. Flaps are 15. Let's see. You guys away yet? Yeah. Alright, well, he's facing the opposite way. Taxi light on. Runway turn-off lights on. Alright. My landing lights on? Or are those the runway turn-offs? Oh, they are. I didn't know that. I thought they were like on the nose wheel. Alright, but that's pretty cool. Alright. Well, I believe I'm ready to, well, I gotta check my flight controls actually, so. There we go. It's occurring to me that you're a little in the way. I'll just, alright, that works great. Alright. Alright, that works. Aren't you typically the ICAO code? Well, not that, but like, don't you, when you like for 737-800, wouldn't this typically say like 738, which is, yeah, the ICAO code. So why does it say just 737? Wouldn't that be 5700? I am in a 737-900, right? Like that did say, yeah, this is a 900. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Parking brake is released. Let's see how this goes. Again, I haven't done this in the 737 yet. So yeah, all right. So story time. When I'm sleep deprived, I get angry easily. Like very, all right? Yesterday I went through like 28 hours of just no sleep. So I was kind of, you know, I get ticked off very easily. And I got ticked off, and I punched something. I punched a wall. Alright. It's a thick wall. It wasn't gonna break. The wall's fine. For the most part, I am. Now, typically when I get that angry, it's just a one and done. I punched it like 4 times in a row. And, you know, I've bruised my knuckle doing that before. Yesterday when I did it, though, I bruised my knuckle, you know. You know, that was slightly like, ah, god dang it, not again. But, you know, it wasn't that bad until I actually looked at it and I saw that, oh. I literally looked at it and I said, that seems odd. And I put it up to my other knuckle on my other hand and I looked at it and I was like, that's weird. My knuckle is swollen. And it still hurts a little. Now, I bruised it before, and it's always hurt like this. It feels fine. It doesn't feel broken, but it's swollen. Typically, oddly enough, it's like I knocked the bone out of place. I don't know. Like, it's not broken. I want to reiterate, it's not broken. It's just swollen. The bone is swollen. I don't know. Or it might not be, and I'm just losing my mind, but I just feel like it's not meant to look the way it does. Now, another story. I feel like I've told this one before. I'm not too sure. So when I first got into Flight Sim, it was with Flight Sim X. All right, and this was when did I get into Flight Sim? I think I got into it in like 2020, like mid 20. Yeah. No. Maybe. Yeah. Wait. Hold. Sorry. Yeah, mid 2020, around there. Just in 2020. Yeah, in 2020, I got into Flight Sim with FSX, and I actually got into it after I got home from a vacation in 2019. In November, I went on a cruise, and we flew to Florida, and we flew back home. And you know, I flew on a Delta, their Embraer 175, along with a A320. And at the time, you know, it was my first time flying, so I was like, oh, whoa, this is cool. But it wasn't, you know, I didn't have that much of a love for it back then, but it really put that into motion. And that realization came months later, in like middle of 2020, when, you know, the world started falling to pieces, apparently, you know, with COVID becoming a thing. People freaking out over that, you know, protests and riots going on, where the world was essentially in a state of nobody was normal in 2020. And I can say that because no one was normal in 2020. The world was collapsing. People were freaking out over everything. The entire world just was dying, essentially. And I don't know why, but I, for some reason, was like, hey, you know, FSX, I've had you for a few years. I've never actually taken the care to play you. I'm gonna play you. And I did, and my goal was to actually try and fly good. I tried to mimic, actually, the flights that I took in real life, and I did. I flew from you know, like from where I live to New York, down to Miami, and then up back to where I live. And that was pretty cool. I was horrible at it. You know, taxiing and taking off, yeah, that was pretty good. You know, autopilot did most of the work, so, you know, I wasn't that bad. There we go. It was when I came into land. I tried to learn how to do an ILS so I didn't have to really worry so much as to my horrible flying skills. And the first time I did an ILS, I watched a YouTube video on it and I tried to mimic it, and I was flying into San Diego on this exact runway, actually. And I don't know why, but it didn't work correctly and I fell off the glide slope like way low. I I disconnected the autopilot. I was like, nah, I'm flying it in manually because I was getting really close to a building, and I went into the external camera to see if I hit the building with my tail. My tail of my plane came like an inch from smacking the roof of the building. So that was like ooh. That put me off of doing ILSs for a while until I actually learned, actually how to fly a plane. Somewhat, in a sense, realistically. Alright, anyways, before takeoff checklist, parking brake set, center fuel pumps are required, de-icing not required, cabin lights, cabin lighting, takeoff and landing, I'll set you to white medium, instruments are good. Alright, landing lights, also this is something about this plane, so, normally I'd have to flick all these switches manually, because Zibo didn't have it simulated, but this is a real thing in modern Boeings that have a panel like this. It's just a bar that you push down. It pushes all the landing lights on. I love it. Strobe lights on. Taxi lights off. Transponder to TARA. Traffic is on. Clock is set. I'm going to turn on the weather radar on you. Terrain on you. Alright. I am good for takeoff. Yeah. I'm good for takeoff. Yeah, I'm good. One last try. No, okay. I'm good for takeoff. It was worth a shot. Anyways. Let's do this takeoff. Let's see how this goes. Now, the actual rotation bit is probably going to be okay. That's if I can maintain center. Maintaining center is what's going to be weird. I'm pretty sure I still have the button set to go into Toka mode on my Bravo unit. Pretty sure I still have that button set. So when I press that button, I won't have to worry about the throttle. Won't have to worry about it as much. But, I don't know. Alright, yes, I still have it set. Alright. Put the yoke down a little. Oh, how are you? You're new.
Rotate. Positive right. Gear up.
Gear's coming up. Let's pitch
400.
up. Try and maintain V2.
1000.
I'm falling back on it actually. Put the nose down a little. Speed mode's on. Alright. Push that nose down even farther. Make the flaps up a little. Flaps 1. Flaps up. Why are you set at 270, boy? You boy. Get down there. Look what you're making me do. Making me fall off. There we go. I didn't descend though. So we're good. We're good. We're good. We're gonna put the gear to off. Man, you are just... Flight director is just not liking my life. Pick a spot and stick to it. over the bank there. Overall, not the worst thing in the world. Disarm the auto brake. Off the runway turn-off lights, and let's get the autopilot on. Ooh. This feels a bit steeper than 30 degrees. I just want that to be known. How's the audio, OBS? It's fine-ish. Seems like I should lower that down a little. There we go. Alright, after takeoff checklist, positive rate, yeah, gear is up, auto brake is off, engine start off, gear levers off, runway turn-off lights are off, cabin lights, I'll keep them, actually, cabin lighting, I'll set it to cruise, because why not? Alright, climb checklist, autopilot is on, and, yeah. Alright. Now, if my settings are set correctly, if I advance my throttle lever, the auto throttle should stay on. Yeah. Alright. Let me just set it to that, to match it. Part of me wants to go into external camera. Part of me values my hearing. Oh, so this yoke actually, it makes manual flying just so much easier. Like, I hate to say it because it's a good stick, alright? The Logitech Pro Extreme, Extreme 3D Pro, I mean. It's a good flight stick, alright? And I got it for, my birthday. What? No. Yes? No. Year before last. Got it in October of 2020. And my uncle got it for me. And, you know, it's a great stick, but it's an old stick, alright? And just this yoke, you know, there is like a good $170 price difference, but this yoke is just, it makes manual flying so much easier. So, I flew into CRJ. I flew the CRJ into an airport, and I think it was actually, I was flying into Calgary in Microsoft Flight Sim, and I can't speak. I disconnected the autopilot like, you know, 5 miles out, and I actually kept a pretty good descent rate. And I made a nice landing, a little bit long, but, you know, overall pretty good on the approach. Alright, VNAV. So this makes manual flying a lot easier. Same goes with the A320. I flew that and it was way better than the side stick. Well, it wasn't necessarily a side stick, but just the stick itself. So I am curious. The 737, it's never been like an issue to fly manually. Nothing in X-Plane has really been an issue to fly manually on this stick. I just haven't been comfortable doing it because of how much I play like Microsoft Flight Simulator, of which I've recently breached 900 hours on that. I believe this flight might actually put me over the 100 hours on X-Plane. But so I'm actually comfortable flying with this yoke manually. So you know, I flew a couple days ago. I flew a Beechcraft Bonanza G36 in Microsoft Flight Sim. I took off out of someplace in New York to begin like a little cross-country journey. I'm currently in Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky. Yesterday I was doing the flight from Bowman Field in Louisville to Topeka in Kansas, and it crashed like an hour in because I switched to the internal camera I switched to the external camera just to look at the plane flying over the country, and then when I moved back into the interior camera, it CTD'd. So yeah. I mean, I wasn't mad that it crashed because I was like really tired and You worried me there for a second, not gonna lie. Center fuel pumps up. Yeah, I wasn't that mad. Because, I was tired. I kind of wanted it to crash, so I had an excuse to go do something else on my PC. Because I was really tired. I mean, I'm still upset that it did crash, but at least because it was going to be like a 3-hour play or something, so I'm glad it crashed where it did. Alright, so something about VNAV. When you descend, it's a little iffy. I gotta admit, it's a little iffy when it comes to descending. Like, you know, I'll set the altitude, and then once it hits the top of descent, it'll automatically begin the descent. Now, you can do it anytime, you can do it beforehand, but it automatically calculates your TD. And so you'd set the altitude that you want to descend to, or the minimum altitude to descend to, and then it would descend following any climb and speed, altitude and speed restrictions all the way down to the altitude you set. But I've had issues with it, to where you'll hit that point, and like you'll hit TD and it'll begin descending, and then it's like you're way too high on approach. I don't know why it does what it does. I'm more used to using vertical speed for climbs and descents, so I don't think I'll use VNAV on the descent. I may, because this is a different 737. This is all off of Zibo. Now again, this uses very similar systems, but you know, still different. Still a difference. So you know what? I'll use VNAV. I'll use VNAV on the descent. Just to get an understanding of the aircraft. Typically, I save flights like that for when I'm not recording. I can fly, get a feel of the plane, and then do a video on it. So it's like, you know, I'm not going into it blind. But this is actually the first time I've taken off in a LevelUp plane. This is the first flight I did. I figured, you know, it's a 737. 737's you know, it's a 737. It can't be that much of a difference between an 800 and a 900. Even though they are made by, you know, different groups. But all in all, it's still a 737. The core principles are still there. Like, man, that yoke. Ooh, that's nice. I'd prefer if it was a tailwind instead of a crosswind, but you know, a little bit of a tailwind there. Oh, and terrain radar off. Go to weather. Oh wait, weather radars are one and done. Only one of them can have it. I'll just turn it off. Oh, speaking of which, so the fly-by-wire A320 Neo mod, they've updated it. It's actually really good now. They also released a teaser, some more teasers for their for the A380 they're making. I believe they also have something else on the installer now. So like you have the A380, the A320, I believe Synaptics A220, and then I believe there's something else, but I can't remember right. PMDG, I believe, also released some things for their 737. I can't remember though. But the A320, their update, you cannot use the terrain and weather radars anymore. They're inoperative, and it's sad. It makes sense. It's not anything with fly-by-wire. It's a SDK issue, I believe. There we go. So there's nothing they can do about it. It's completely up to. It's kind of in the same boat that the PMGG 737's in. They have to wait for Zibo to update the SDK. So Zibo, from behalf of someone who has put 900 hours into your flight sim, please update your SDK. Please update the SDK so we can get something like this in Microsoft Flight Sim. And while I'm climbing, I'm just gonna look. Rotate. Hey, I'm pretty sure I did this when flying the DC-10. How's the MD-11? It's still in beta testing. You haven't released anything. Got it. Got it. What's their Facebook show though? I am keeping up with this plane, okay? I've been wanting an MD-11 for a long time. So, beta testing could take a very long time. I'm hoping it doesn't. But, there's 1,000 go. I'm hoping it doesn't take too long of beta testing. I know it can take a long time, but it just kind of determines on exactly what's all with the plane. Like, beta testing, of course, is to find out if any bugs or any issues that slipped past development. Pretty much anything that they didn't expect to happen, they just do that. So it just depends on really how much is there. So if they test it and, you know, it's like a couple of bugs that they gotta iron out, most of the time beta testing wouldn't last that long. But if they load it into the sim and they're like, oh god, it could take a while. So beta testing is just one of those things where you don't really know how long it's gonna take unless they say how long it may take, and if they give like a progress update on the beta testing. So far, Rotate has not. Y'all, I'm about to create a Facebook account just so I can join this frickin' group. Nah, I don't want to create a Facebook account. I was gonna say, you know, I was gonna say, if Mark Zuckerberg doesn't know about my existence, then I'm a happy man. But then I remembered I have an Instagram account, and I'm pretty sure Facebook bought out Instagram. So, huh. Alright, there we are. We're at cruise. Just pop back in. I also got these eyebrow windows. Looking snazzy. But I need to go into the external camera so I can get a screenshot for the thumbnail. Oh. Alright, I'm gonna just tone down my headset volume quite a bit there. Alright. Sound warning. Sound warning. Sound warning. Okay. Hopping back into the cockpit. I can turn up my headset volume. There we go. Screenshot has been got. We are 734 nautical miles away with a 53 knot tailwind. Let's see, Avatab. I'm gonna go ahead and load up KDEN. KDEN. Denver International. Gonna load this up and take a look at our runway. Wow, crap. Which runway is it? I'll just sim brief. What runway am I landing at? 16 right. Alright, so 16 right is a 111.9. That's the comm radio. 111.9. This is the nav radio. Go. And course is 173. So speaking of stuff like this, so I have this tool. I have the software thing. It's called Little Nav Map, I'm pretty sure. And I mainly use this for VOR to VOR navigation in the Douglas DC6 for from PMDG for Microsoft Flight Sim, because I have done VOR nav flights on there. It's a very cool concept. I love it. I loved doing it. It's very you know, you got to be there. Because like you actually have to swap out frequencies, change the course. It's very cool. I loved doing the VOR navigation. It was so fun to do. It was a completely different concept of flying, but it's got, you know, there are some issues with it when you're using like the sim brief to load a VOR flight plans. It'll give you a VOR that's like 200 miles away from you that you have to go to, but it's only got a range of like, you know, 70 miles, so you can't really do that. So I had to use little nav map. I also used it just so I could get the frequencies and the course settings and all that, but I also used it to, you know, see if I'm on the right heading, see how far away I am, because, you know, it's an old plane, but I'm flying it in modern times, where even if we don't have a GPS system in the plane to fly for us, you know, I can still use a GPS to see where I'm at. And I never thought that worked with FSX. Apparently it can. Now the DC-10 I have that we used, of course it doesn't have it doesn't have a thing. It doesn't have a FMS like it does, but it don't. You have to use the default flight planner. I read somewhere that you can actually use little nav map. If you can put a flight plan into LNM, and it'll put that into FSX, and then whatever plane you're using will fly that. And I thought, actually, you know what? That's a pretty good idea. Yeah, I can't remember if it uses SIDS and stars or anything. It probably don't. I don't even think FSX has that, to be honest, without extra mods. But I thought that was pretty cool, and I figured, you know what, using the DC-10, that might actually be a good idea. So I could like generate a flight plan on SimBrief and then put that into LNM, and then fly that in the DC-10. Yeah, I don't know if it would work. I haven't tested it, but it'd be pretty cool to do so. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm gonna really have time to test that, which also reminds me I need to find my schedule. School's starting up again. I've been on winter break, kind of disappointed that I only released one video throughout it, which was on the DC-10. Yet again, I didn't have any goals to upload other than that DC-10 flight, and now that LevelUp has released their 737, but I actually go back tomorrow. I thought I went back Wednesday. Nope. So I go back tomorrow, and that's gonna be painful. Waking up at 6, although I woke up at 5 today. No, because I fixed my sleep schedule by breaking it. I just go I have an unorthodox method of fixing my sleep schedule called I stay up. If I wake up late, I'll stay up all night and all day. And yeah. So I completely reversed my sleep schedule. You know, normal people wake up in the early morning, go to bed in the evening. Yeah, I completely reversed that. I was waking up in the evening, going to bed in the morning. I had to I was kind of forced to stay awake because I had to look after our dog, but that was good because I you know, I'd woken up at like 10 p.m. on Saturday, I think. Yeah. And I had to stay up all Saturday. I had to stay up all night, you know, into the Sunday morning. And because I had to take care of our dog, I had to I was kind of forced awake till like all day, but that was good. And then at about 9 p.m. Sunday, you know, I managed to go to bed. So almost a full 24 hours. Almost. And then I woke up somehow, you know, despite the fact that it was 23 hours of consciousness, I still managed, well, although that's like 8 hours. But still, woke up at 5 this morning. That's an hour before I normally do. So I'm hopefully, that I can get to bed early today and kind of get my sleep schedule back on track. It was good for like the first couple weeks of school, and then I destroyed it. I can't remember how, but I did. Yeah. So hopefully I can keep my good sleep schedule, especially because now I have I went from having, an engineering class for first period and then English second to science first period and then English second. And that's like, really? Really? You're giving me science for first period? Like, can my school system stop giving me classes that are either boring or difficult for the first thing in the morning? Like, oh my god. Let's see, since like 6th grade, they've been doing that. And I'm a freshman, man. So since like 6th grade, I've been having boring or difficult classes. Let's see, in 6th grade, I had science first thing in the morning. In 7th grade, I had math, and I had advanced math, because for some reason I was in an advanced math class 2 years in a row, despite the fact that I had failed it every single time. And then in 8th grade, again, now this was all online. I did 8th grade all online, so this was even worse. Math, first thing in the morning, and it's like, really? Really? You're gonna do that to me? And then now here I am, freshman year, I had an engineering class for the first thing in the morning, and it was interesting, it wasn't boring, but it was really, really difficult, and I somehow managed. I had like a D and an F, or I had an A for like the first couple of weeks, but then it fell off, and I slammed down to like a D and an F. It's switching between that as it got harder, but we had this final project, and I actually somehow managed doing that project that was worth like 300 points, managed to turn that around, and I got up to a C. So, hey, I got college credit according to my teacher. I got college credit. Too bad that's for something I don't really want to do. But I mean, it's nice. I do have a fallback, I guess, even though it's kind of like something you have to go to college for, but, it's anything engineering related. But hey, I got college credit, so that's something. But now I'm getting science for first period. Yeah. Back to that thing. But it's not fun. It's not gonna be fun. And actually, for my sophomore year, I've signed up for this aviation class, so that's pretty good. It said it's on their website that you take the FAA private pilot written exam. You take the FAA written exam for like your private pilot's license. I believe it also said that you can get your commercial license. Actually, let me look up, because it's... Oh, who's messaging me? It's just YouTube. Well, let's see. It's right there. Alright, so, certifications. FAA private pilot written exam and the FAA unmanned air systems. That's for, like, drone. Courses: Introduction to Aerospace, Fundamentals of Aviation Science, and Commercial Aviation Science. Alright, and it says, students completing the courses below will be eligible to take the FAA Private Pilot Written Exam or the FAA Unmanned Air Systems Exam. Students will complete what is considered the first phase of aviation training leading to a commercial pilot license or commercial drone operation. Now, I don't want to fly drones. I do want to fly, like, commercial planes. As I have talked about, specifically on the DC-10 flight. So that's actually pretty good. Now, the picture they use is, oh man, it's a UPS Airbus A380. Which isn't so far from the truth, because Airbus was going to make a freighter version of the A380 with UPS being their launch customer, but then UPS, lowered the sales. They lowered the number of planes they were buying. Airbus was like, oh, well, this isn't good for us, so they canceled it. And so whenever you wonder why there was not an A380 freighter, blame the United Parcel Service. But I just find that funny. To be fair, though, it is like the only concept picture of an A380 freighter. I just don't really know why they chose the A380, to be honest. Like, you have to specifically search that up. Like, if I type in, you know, UPS freighters, and I go to images, you know, you got a 747, a 767, another 747, another 76, another 76, another 74, another 74, another 74. It's just like, where did you scroll? Where did you go? There it is. It's like 30 pictures down. The A380. I don't know how they got it. But that's actually, it's pretty good. I believe I talked about that, the FAA written exam thing from my school. I think I talked about that. I believe it was also in the DC tip play. That is the deepest I've ever gone into my personal life on this channel. And there you go. But, yeah, so that's pretty cool. How'd I get here? How'd I get here? I don't know. How far away am I? 638. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and get our top of descent calculation. Just so I know, like, hey, plane, we should descend. Typically, you do that farther out, but I'm gonna do it now. So 37,000 minus 5434 times 3 divided by 1,000. That's 94.6 nautical miles. 94.6. Thank you. Is this iPad broken? Is this a crack? Who cracked the iPad? How do you even do that? That better just be like, no, that's definitely, they cracked the iPad. I don't even know how you can do that. Like, this thing, you know, I mean, yeah, you know, obviously, but like, pilots don't really use these outside of a cockpit. But hey, throw it down onto the onto this? That's probably not good. Alright. But for now, I guess we're just gonna sit here at 37,000 feet. So, yeah, I guess I'll come back and, you know, whatever time it's gonna take to get there. So enjoy this nice, like, 2 hours, I think it is. I'm not entirely sure. But I'll be back in a while. Alright, we are closing in on Denver, 125 nautical miles. Looking at my chart, apparently Denver's got a smallest runway length of 12,000 feet. Didn't know that. With their longest runway being the runway we're landing on, being 16,000 feet. I don't ask. That's longer than I think that's actually longer than the runways, than most of the runways at JFK. Okay, JFK. I'm curious. Let me see. The smallest runway at JFK is 12,079 feet. Oh, I'm sorry. The smallest is 8,400 feet. Then it's 10,000, 12,000. Yeah, their longest runway is 14,511 feet. Dude, what is the reasoning for having a 16,000 foot runway? Hey, doesn't Area 51 have like a 15-mile long runway? Area 50. Oh, Area 51. Area 51's long runway. How long is their runway? Because they got a long runway. I'm pretty sure. See, it says right here that it's only 12,000 feet, but I'm pretty sure it's longer than that. Isn't it like a really... Yeah. Alright, never mind. It's... Alright. I'm apparently losing my mind. I thought it did. I thought it had like an absurdly long runway, though. I mean, for some, yeah, okay, that 3 miles is still a long runway, but like... Compared to like Denver, it's nothing. Denver's over 3 miles. You know? Alright, so we're actually going, let's see, the 10,000 feet is the... There we go. 10,000 feet is the beginning of the approach into Denver. Where's my top of descent? See, like, that's just, that seems too close, you know? It just feels like that's too close. Maybe it's just me. But according to SimBrief, according to my calculations, my top of descent is in like 4 miles, almost. Not 40. Yet again, VNAV is going to descend me at a high. It's going to descend me fast. VNAV, did I say SimBrief? I'm losing my mind apparently. I'm going to descend when I think I should. Now, unfortunately, I don't know. Denver does get snow, of course. I mean, honestly, these mountains should probably have snow on them. As you can see, they don't. Snow isn't a thing in X-Plane 11. I don't really know why. Even FSX has snow. Though, to be fair, snow in FSX is just based on the month. Not if there's actually snow. But, hey, I mean, that's better than X-Plane. Microsoft lets them actually... like checks, you know, if there's snow on the ground, it'll put in snow, and it has different snow depths. Anyways, let's go ahead and crap, how do I do this? Alright, I used to know how to do this. To be fair, there used to be a thing. On the Zibo, there's just a thing that says descend now. Would that be on approach, though? No. Would that be on... What would that be? I mean, it would make sense for it to be under descent, but, like, obviously, it's not a thing. You know what? I'll let you handle it. Okay, okay. That's a really dumb idea. Yeah, that's probably a really dumb idea. I'm sure it'll be fine. Besides, to be fair, I did say I was gonna let VNav do it earlier. Had to make sure my mic was unmuted. I forgot to unmute it like once or twice, and now I have like, it's like a constant fear. Like, oh, is it unmuted? Did I do a dumb? We'll be descending soon. Probably. Now, I believe VNav doesn't like descending with the throttle lock on, because throttle lock is pretty much, if auto throttle is on and a speed mode is engaged, a certain speed mode, whatever, if a speed mode's engaged and auto throttle is armed, no matter what I move my physical throttle lever to, whether it be full or idle, it won't change it. But Zibo had an issue to where when you were using VNav to descend, you could, if you moved the throttle lever, the physical one, it would move it in game, but it wasn't meant to. I'm hoping LevelUp has fixed that so I can, you know, let auto throttle do its thing without worrying. I set this at like 50% just in case. Now time to see if this actually descends when it should. Alright, VNav, you had your chance, but you hit the top of the descent and you didn't do anything, so I'm going to actually descend at unusual 3,000 feet per minute. Something I don't do. But I don't have a choice. VNav decided, you know what? Screw you, I'm not descending. So that's definitely a bug because it's meant to descend because the planet has its top of descent. As long as this is lower than what you're at, when you hit TD, it's meant to descend. It's meant to begin the descent. It's kind of like an open descent in the Airbus. Kind of, it's like if you use flight level change, which I probably should use instead. But I'm gonna stick to feet per minute here. I'm stick to this. Now, I do have to lose quite a bit of altitude and kind of, you know, fast because the airport's right down somewhere below that cloud. Those clouds actually look pretty good. Have you seen the clouds for X-Plane 12? They're pretty nice. I'm actually very excited for that. It's gonna be fun. No, I don't think I'm gonna be able to see the airport because of the cloud. Just unfortunate. Yeah. We're gonna hop back here. It's meant to check the recall. Get on that. Put my phone right somewhere where I can see it. In case I get a call there. That's it right there. You're fine there. Let's see. What speed am I meant to be at? Well. Actually, I'm set 280. Ooh, and our minimums are meant to be. Just give me a sec. Yeah, 200 seems to be the correct. I think I need to re-look at that video because it said if that one's meant to be the radio altimeter, it's meant to. It's just some stuff with the charts. It just doesn't. According to everything I know, it's incorrect. But so I'm going with the higher of the two numbers. There's 18 and there's 200. 18 seems a bit low because looking at the airport elevation and the altimeter, like the QNH minimum thing, is like a bit more than an 18-foot difference there. So I'm just going with the other one, which is 200. So that's already set. I might need some delay vectors. And since I'm not using ATC, I might have to do that myself. Course is set. Nav frequency is set. That's all good. So, have a tab, airport, let's refresh there. So the winds are 14 knots at 200. Temperatures 1 degree Celsius. The dew point is -10. 3008 on the altimeter. That's fun. That's fun. You know, that's cold actually. That's cold. You know, 1 degree Celsius. It's almost freezing. Speed brake out there. Helps slow me down. Oh, I just realized actually, the airport elevation's like 5,000, so I don't have to descend that steeply now. Still can't see I can see I'm gonna crank her back down there. It's just, I feel like I'm descending just I feel like I'm too high. As long as I get below the glide slope indicator, I'll be happy. To pull up my reference speed, so we're gonna be landing at, I'm gonna go with that because that's only gonna get lower. So 40 degrees at 120 knots. Go. That's good. It's good and set. I really feel like I should be lower, but I don't know. Let's see. I mean, 10,000 is the required range. They'll arm the approach. Let's see. What are you doing, plane? Alright, I'm meant to be... like, let's see, it's about 7, 10, 14, 16 times. Alright, we're capturing the VOR. I'm gonna bring you down to 8,000 because that is also a point on the approach, 8,000 feet. I'm gonna go ahead and get the seatbelt signs and the landing lights on. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the runway turn-off lights because, you know, why not? I'll set the engine start to continuous. Alright, there's the glide slope indicator, but can it, you know... What's another point that I can be at? 7,000. 7,000's the lowest on the approach before I should be on the glide slope. This is completely unorthodox. I just... Holy crap. Why the speed jump? Jesus. Did you see that? My God. There we go. Catching the glide slope. Start putting out some flaps. Ah, the weather changed. That's why there was a dramatic. That's why there was a jump there. I'm assuming. Alright, 10 miles out. I'm gonna try my best to be at 1,000 feet and be stabilized. I say try my best because I really don't know if I'll be able to. Got 2 degrees there. We can bump it down to 5. Gonna try and get myself slowed down. That 140 knots. There. Oh, that speed brake's still out. I'm gonna crack that speed brake. But I am gonna arm it. Wait. There we go. Speed brake armed. Flaps 10. We're gonna be keeping to our VREFs here, so we'll put out flaps 15 at 140 knots. Go ahead and put it out as we get a bit slower there. Although I don't really know if I trust the VREF speeds. 6.
2,500.
Oh man. Stop. That's the gear, actually. I put out the gear. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and start bumping this down. Just so we can get it
KSAN 3 degrees.
Nobody asked you. Flaps 30 degrees. That's flaps 25, actually. Flaps 30 degrees. And flaps 40. Alright, flaps 40, 120 knots. We're good. Landing lights are on, runway turn-off lights are on. Just going through this, that's good. Landing checklist. Go around altitude set. Ah! Yeah, that's something, isn't it? 5,900. 5,900. All right. Mr. Approach altitude is set. Our return flights are on. Gears down. 3 greens. I'll turn off. I'll disconnect the autopilot and auto throttle at 1,000 feet. I mean, and then I'll fly her manually because that's a more typical thing. I'll go ahead and kick off the. Get that set. Auto throttle off. Let's see. I wonder if if my co-pilot buddy is gonna say 1,000 feet, missed approach. 1,000 feet stabilized, missed approach altitude set. If he's gonna say that like he does on the Zibo. I wonder if you can change that voice, because I usually do U.S. flying, and it's a little odd, you know, if I'm gonna be hearing a British dude all the time. Flying in the U.S. There we go. Autopilot off. You're gonna make me press the button? I don't like you. Now that's meant to disconnect my flight directors too. For some reason it didn't, and I don't really know why. There we go. Man, okay, there we go. The Pappies went from 3 white, 1 red to 3 reds, 1 white. Gotta bump up our throttle a little. I'm gonna fly more based on the Pappy than the glide slope indicator. Now this is where it gets difficult. Having to manage the throttle and then the rudder immediately on touchdown. Also, he didn't say it.
200.
It's a 16,000 foot runway. I'm not that worried about landing long. I didn't set the auto brake. There we go. Auto brake set.
100.
100 feet. Yeah, so we're gonna be landing a little long, but again, 16,000 feet.
50,
I'm not that worried about
40,
it.
30, 20, 10.
There's a touchdown. Thrust reversers deployed. I believe I heard the speed brakes deployed, but I'm gonna put them down manually because I just don't know.
80 knots.
80 knots. Tracking spoilers. Thrust reversers disengaged. Auto brake off. There we go. I'm gonna take a look at that landing in the replay mode. I feel like that wasn't the greatest I could have done. Upon touchdown. Yeah, to be fair though, I did realize 50 feet off the ground. Oh wait, my auto brake isn't armed. I remembered it when I turned on to final, but I was like, I'll wait until I'm a bit closer to turn it on. Yeah, I didn't turn it on. So that was something. But I feel like I should have blared a bit more. It didn't feel like a rough touchdown. I mean, listening to the RA, it didn't sound like a rough touchdown. It didn't seem like it was one, but still, I just feel like I should have flared a bit more. I don't know. I definitely could have flared a bit more, but in terms of actual smooth landing this, I don't think it was that rough of a touchdown. But I'm gonna look at the replay mode just in case. I do, however, believe I touched down. I believe on my right gear first. When you land, you typically want to touch down on both gears at the same time, both main gears at the same time. Now, on a plane like the 737, or really any modern airliner, it's not, you know, if you do touch down on one main first, you know, as long as it levels out pretty quickly, it's not that bad. As long as you're not banking too much, it's typically not that bad. Anyways, I'll look at the replay once we get at the gate and we get the plane shut down and all that. After landing checklist, transponder standby, flaps retracted, spoilers are retracted, landing lights all off, strobe lights all off. Oh yeah, forgot to turn on the logo light too. God dang it. Not that bad, but okay. Taxi lights on, cabin lights. I've completely forgot about them this entire time, if I'm being honest. I always do. Anti-ice is off. APU start. Probes off. And engine start off. There we go. Master caution acknowledged. Alright. Let's get to the gate. Parking brake is released. And, oh yeah, Denver is a big airport, that's right. Alright, this is gonna be a lot of Taxiing in the dark. Actually, wait, no, I don't, because, hey, Abby tab. I'm gonna open up your little widget here. This thing's a godsend. Maps. I mean, still, for the most part, gonna be taxiing in the blind, but this just gives me some taxiways to look at. Not in detail, but gives me something. One thing I really wish they would change about the plane, now it might just be a reflection of the 737 in real life, but you saw when I disconnected the autopilot, the that blinking light there and the horn that sounds when you do it. I've never flown the 737. I've never been on a 737. Never been in the cockpit of one. Never really seen a video of one landing. Well, I have. It's just the audio is usually, you know, bled over. But so when I disconnected the autopilot, that little indicator turned on and the horn sounded, signifying that. Now if I feel like it'd be a little bit impractical for it to just stay on constantly, because you know when you disconnect the autopilot, that typically you're gonna be hand flying, you know. So it doesn't really make sense. And now, like, I get it in case of like an emergency and the autopilot disconnects automatically, to where you'd want that horn going, so you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, autopilot disconnected, you know, why did it disconnect? Just to do that. But like when you're on approach and you disconnect it, it doesn't have to be like, hey, hold up, that autopilot, boy, it's disconnected, because you'll just be sitting there like, yeah, I kind of know that. But it could be a reflection of the real aircraft. I'm not entirely sure, but you know, you do have the second pilot, the other pilot there to kind of press and acknowledge it, like, yeah, autopilot disconnect. But I feel like there should be an option in the settings somewhere for the mod on the tablet, so you can like to where it'll blare the alarm, it'll sound the horn for like a couple of seconds, but then automatically turn off. I feel like flying, you know, with one pilot, that's just a bit more practical, because like you have the first officer and he does the call outs and all that. I feel like you should also, you know, just silence that, so I don't have to do it manually. Now with a yoke, it isn't as imperative, because you know I can use my second hand more than I can on the stick. It's a lot less awkward, I'll give it that, because the side stick, the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, it's built for right-handed people, or just using your right hand, not necessarily, but like you use your right hand to fly, and since I'm right-handed, you know, that makes using my mouse a little bit awkward, because you know it's also on my right side, so I have to like either reach my left arm across, which is just uncomfortable, or I'd have to hold the stick with my left hand and use my right hand, which is just as, if not even more awkward. Also, I was moving my hands around. I don't know why. It's not like I have a webcam or anything. I was meant to make a turn back there. Well, you know what? There's a terminal building up ahead. Yeah, that's not even a terminal building. Well, I think that's more like cargo. So it's good that I didn't turn there. Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything about it. It would have seemed more smart. Man, I cannot wait until I get an ATC software. So I got an ATC software for Microsoft Flight Sim. It's a free one. Well, no, sorry. It's a it's $60, but I got a free trial for it. It's 10 days worth. I haven't used it yet, mainly because it's just a lot of setting up, and part of me wonders, is it actually worth it? It's called Pilot to ATC. I've heard good things about it, but it's just, I don't know if it's really worth it, paying $60 for it, because you have to do a lot of setting up, and between that and VATSIM, I just feel like VATSIM would be a bit better. Speaking of VATSIM, I do want to start using VATSIM, I will admit. I've wanted to, however, I do have a slight hint of social anxiety. And just online ATC, because that's what VATSIM is. It's just, it makes me nervous, you know, which makes sense. Before I do start, if I start using VATSIM, there are some things I do definitely need to get better at, and that's mainly flying SIDS and stars and all that. Like if they asked me to get onto a different runway, oh, I can do that. Like changing the MCDU and all that, the FMC, like I can do that. Flying a SID and star with altitude and speed restrictions, I haven't done that ever. Like, I've flown the SIDS and stars, but I haven't flown them, like, using their altitude and restrictions and all that. So it's just certain things, certain standard operating procedures that I haven't ever done in a flight sim. It just makes me nervous, is essentially what I'm saying. I'm nervous because I don't know if I'm qualified, really, to fly on VATSIM. I have an account. When you sign up to make an account for VATSIM, they make you do a, like a test, essentially. You have to read the rules and all that. You pretty much have to, it's like studying for a test, and then you have to take a final exam before your VATSIM account is actually allowed to be used on, like, on a VATSIM client, before your account's eligible for the VATSIM network. And I did all that. So I am by VATSIM standards, I am qualified. I am legally qualified to fly on VATSIM. It's just, I don't know if piloting wise I'm equipped to fly. And especially, I'd go in on it and like I'd definitely tackle it first off in like a little small Cessna instead of an airliner. That's definitely something I would do. I'm not gonna go all out first time on it. Ow, why does my finger hurt? Alright, I think I'm good. Parking brake is set. Let's close out you. Let me look. I mean, not that bad. I would pull up the rest of the way, but I don't really feel like it, considering we're going to be using the air stairs anyways. Parking checklist. Parking brake is set. Taxi and runway turn flights are off. APU generators connected. Engine fuel control off. Ground control is, I guess, established. Passenger signs, we're going to turn off the seatbelt signs. We're going to turn off the anti-collision lights. APU bleed was meant to go on before I did that. It's occurring to me. Also going to open up that isolation valve. Go, fuel pumps going off. Left aft fuel pump is staying on. Anti-ice is off. Electric hydraulic pumps can go off. Isolation valve is open. Flight directors are off. Electrical power is established. I don't know. External lights, we're going to keep the logo and nav lights on for a while. I'll turn off the nav lights, but I'll keep that logo light on. Alright. And now to ground services. I'm going to turn the lights back to bright. Ah, crap. We're going to open up the cargo doors and the forward door. We're going to extend the air stairs. We're going to set the chocks with a chock set. Parking brake apparently released. Really? No? Alright. Apparently I didn't set the parking brake. Alright, there we go. Master caution acknowledged. We're going to put you back into map. Just reset all of this actually. There we go. All good. Because I believe this still saves upon reload, I'm going to set you to 1200, and I'm going to reset. Apparently I can set my flight altitude to minus 1,000 feet. I don't think I should be able to do that. I don't think I can fly it, you know, unless you're flying in like New Orleans, because apparently I learned back when that hurricane hit, I believe last year, maybe the year before, I don't know, 2020 or 2021. Hurricane hit New Orleans again, and that's when I learned that New Orleans is actually below sea level, which is why they are at such a big hurricane risk. Because, you know, normally, you know, I mean, no matter if you get hit with a hurricane, you're at a hurricane risk, but like typically places that get hit with hurricanes, you know, they're above sea level. Like, you know, surges are still bad, but you know, New Orleans is especially bad because you're below sea level. So you're kind of like in a bowl, which isn't good, you know. It's like if you're an ant in a bowl and then someone starts, you know, turns on the faucet, you just kind of get drowned out. Like, that's a scary thought, okay? I have thalassophobia, which means I don't like water. Now, I'm okay with, like, at a beach, and I'm okay with being out over water, either on a boat or on a plane. Now, okay, well, to be fair, the only times I've been out over water on a boat is on a big cruise ship. If you put me on, like, a smaller boat, I'd probably be uncomfortable. But, I deep water, if I'm out in the ocean, and I can't feel the bottom, or if I look underneath me and I can't see the bottom, that will send me into a panic attack. Now, I haven't tested that theory, but that's what I imagine would happen. Because, God, no. That's just horrible. I don't like that at all. Like, I've played Subnautica, and just, Jesus Christ. Dude, I owned Subnautica for like 2 years before I actually ventured out of the safe shallows. Yeah, that's how bad it was. And I mean, the void, the dead zone in Subnautica, it's just a drop off. And like, even though I know what's out there, all right, and even if I'm in creative mode where I can't even die, looking down that drop off is just it gives me goosebumps. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, it's creepy. It creeps me out. A couple days ago, I was playing Subnautica Below Zero, which is the sequel, and I haven't fully explored its world. I haven't been I'd never been to the dead zone in Below Zero, and I was out exploring, and everything just kind of got, a bit more bland, a bit more barren, and it made me a little nervous. And I saw this drop, like just a drop, like a bit more of a steep drop down, and I looked at that, and I literally said to myself, "Oh God, no." And I got out of my sea truck and I went using my sea glide. I went over to the edge, and I was just like, oh please God, no, don't you tell me. And I looked over the edge, and it's just a drop, and I was like, oh God, why? And because of curiosity, I went out into the dead zone, just because I know there's the void chelicera is out there. Or I heard a weird pronunciation of it one time. It was like chelicerate or something. I'm gonna keep on calling it a chelicerate, even though that's definitely not how you pronounce it. It's definitely more like chelicerate or whatever. But I'm gonna keep on calling it that because screw everything. It's what I've called it the entire time that it's been in the game. I was there when it was put into the game. But I knew that they were out there, but I was like, you know what? I haven't seen one. I want to see one. So I went out there, and it's still so creepy. I mean, the voice line from the original game is a lot better. It says, warning, entering ecological dead zone, adding report to databank. And I don't know why, but that's so much creepier than what it is in Below Zero. I think it has something to do with the fact that it doesn't really warn you how deadly it is. You experience it firsthand. But in Below Zero, it says, warning, entering ecological dead zone. The prospect for survival is fast approaching zero. And I mean, yeah, that's creepy, but if I feel like there's just a bit more creepy in the first game, because it's like, yeah, look, you're in an area that's not that good, but I'm gonna let you figure out why you shouldn't be here. And then you get attacked by a Leviathan. When this below, it kind of warns you, like, hey, this place is bad. You gotta die. The first game, it's like, yeah, this place is bad. Why is it bad? Find that out yourself, buddy. Anyways, let's say the passengers are out. Let's shut down this aircraft. IRS off. Kicks up the yaw damper. I don't know why the yaw damper does that. I don't know exactly what the IRS has with the yaw damper. Alright, but that's fine. APU off. Left aft fuel pump is off. Emergency exit lights off. Window heat off. Man, this plane is so quiet when there's no electrical power. My God. I think it's because like the avionics bay isn't getting, the fans aren't on. Packs off. We're gonna turn off the APU bleed. External lights, yeah, let's turn off the local lights there. Standby power. Oh God, I started this video with hiccups and I'm ending it with one. With some standby powers off, and then battery master also goes off. Also, I'm gonna just, because why not? Recirc fans off. Engine hydraulic pumps off. Engine bleeds off. Trim air off. All y'all are off. I'll put you down standby power. Both of you to standby power, actually. There we go. would say we're good. We're fine. We're good. I believe I got everything turned off. All right. That's a nice flight in the 737-900. I think the next video I'm gonna do, I don't know where from or to, but I want to fly the 737-600 just because of how small it is. Now let me go into replay mode if I can actually get it to work. Ooh. Okay. Little unorthodox there, but no, I don't like that. But I'm gonna let it play out for the sole purpose of why not? Good. Yeah, I kept her, I didn't descend fast enough right here. That's what got me off. Although I actually look good. Nah, you can tell I'm landing a little bit long. Actually, it looks like I'm landing a bit short. I definitely landed past the touchdown zone. I know that for a fact. I don't know. Let's see. Have a kid on this side. Yeah, it looks awkward no matter what side I'm on. Yeah. Slow-mo. Yeah. Right wheel touchdown first a little bit. Like, it could have been smoother, I'll say that, but overall, I don't think that was that bad. Like, I don't think that was that bad. Ah, yep, there it is. Replay mode. Get out of here. I don't think that was that bad. Could have been better, probably. I do think I kept that nose wheel off too long, though. Actually. I'll set the chocks. The reason why I didn't want to go back and close the doors real quick is because I've had issues with replay mode, actually. Well, I was flying an MD-80, and it freaked out on me. And I looked at the replay, I was like, whoa, what happened? And I don't know what I did, but I broke it. So replay mode actually, it spawned me where I was in replay mode. So essentially, I started a flight during a midst of chaos. And yeah, I just didn't want to risk that. But yep, that is a flight in the 737 complete. We'll retract the air stairs and we'll close the doors. I think I have to wait for the air stair to be closed to be up and retracted to close that. But that is a flight, complete first flight in the 737-900. First flight in the LevelUp series of planes. Overall, what are my thoughts on the 737 NG from LevelUp? It's a good plane. They're nice. Now, I've never flown a 737, so I can't really say anything about their realism and how close they are to the real-world aircraft. But they feel nice. They felt nice. It was just overall a nice time. Just nice to fly. The only issue I can really say about it Now I haven't confirmed this first thing. This first thing I haven't really confirmed it. I don't know if this is an issue across the board, but it seems as if just like with the Zibo 737, your settings and stuff, none of these save. Like none of them. They don't save. And I don't know if that's I don't know if that's an issue because I didn't fully customize the 900. I think I customized the 600. I think I actually no, I think I customized the 800. I don't know if they're like individual, like you can have certain settings for the 600 and then another settings for the 900. I don't know if it's that or if it doesn't save in general. But it's just that's it. That's that. So none of these were. I don't think any of these save because they don't save on the Zibo, and this uses the same EFB. But they may have updated it. If they did, great. If it saves, awesome. If it doesn't, well, that's unfortunate. The only other issue, which I don't know exactly if it's fully realistic or if it is actually a bug, the VNav just didn't want to descend. Like I said, typically with VNav, you set a lower altitude than what you're at. Like you set an altitude that's like, this is the minimum I want to go. And then once you hit the top of descent, it'll automatically begin your descent down to, following like climb and speed restrictions and all that until you hit the altitude you set, and then it won't descend past that unless you either move the dial lower or you tell it to. It didn't do that. I set 10,000, I was at 37,000, and then we hit top of descent and it just didn't descend. I even tried descending manually through this because you can just say like descend now to the VNav, and it'll be like, okay, I'll descend now. I didn't want to do that, so I had to use vertical speed mode to descend, which it's not that bad, but like, VNav should have kicked in, but it didn't. Again, could be a real reflection of the aircraft, but I don't really know. That's how the Zibo was, and considering they had like it was being helped with by real 737 pilots, I feel like an issue with like VNav, which is very, very common use in Boeings. It's used pretty much all the time by pilots actually who fly Boeing. I feel like an issue like that they would have fixed long ago. Other than that, it's great. I loved it. It was a great flight. Before I end this, I am actually gonna hop in the 737-600. Before anyone asks, I'm not going to be doing any flights with any of these Airbus models. They're just not good at all. I'm going to hop in the 737-600 just so you can get a nice little peek at the interest. Oh, hello. I don't know what you mean, dude. Before I end it, I'm going to look at this real quick just so you can get a taste of how small the plane is. Crap, my drink's all the way over there. It might take it a minute to load. It shouldn't take that long because I loaded it up earlier. Typically when you load things first time, it takes a while, but this is like the second time I've loaded it, so it should hopefully not take too long. If it does, I apologize. I'm gonna go over here real quickly, see if I can struggle to grab my drink. No, okay, headset, go off for a sec. Back. Or it's gonna take a long time. I believe I'm actually loading back into San Diego, though, so that might be why. Although it still says it's loading the 737. So, there we go. Reading new scenery files. Don't know what you're reading, because we literally just took off from there like 3 hours ago. I'll respond to you in a minute once I get this done, so I can just say goodbye. Man, this is really taking a while. I would go into OBS real quick and pause it, but I'm afraid that it would crash it. And that, I don't know. Don't do that. I'm sure it'll be fine, actually. Yeah, alright. I'll pause this. I'll spare you the... Oh, God, I hit Alt-Tab in it. That may have been a bad idea. I just did a bad thing. It's giving me the little loading thing, the loading circle cursor, which usually it doesn't do that unless it's loading something or something's not responding. Considering that I didn't click on anything to load. Well, it's definitely not X-Plane because the loading bar is going up. But that's bullcrap because I've alt-tabbed on this loading screen before. I don't really know if I want to push it, though. Oh, okay, well. Just to make sure that's not broken on me. Alright, there we go. Yep, back in KSAN, right where we started. Alright, so, coming into the cockpit, it's very, very similar. There are some things that are different, actually, interior-wise. Specifically, like, up here. Yeah, that's different. There's only one recirc fan thing. Anything else that stands out, I don't know. The FMCs actually are different. If we just look into that, you can definitely see, like, hey, this is definitely shorter. No business class. You ready for this? Because the difference is actually quite shocking. When I loaded it up, I was disturbed. Alright, you ready? It's a stub, man. It's so small compared to even the 800. The 737-600 is so small comparatively. I was actually questioning whether or not to fly in this first for this flight, but I thought about it and I was like, it just, let the shocking thing happen later. Let the shock happen later. But this is the 737-600. It is so small. Like the engines look overpowered comparatively. Now, I'm actually going to look real quick just so I can confirm whether or not the settings do save. I don't think I changed anything in that, but I believe I changed stuff in this. There's actually a very easy way of telling if it saved, and that's by going to hardware. It does not save. Got it. Because I'm pretty sure I set this like this on the 600. I believe I set up the 600. I may have not have. I'm not entirely sure. Real quick, I'm gonna pause OBS and then I'm gonna go into I'm gonna go into the 800, the LevelUp 800, and see if it's saved because I know I set up that. And that'll if it's saved, then I'll cancel out my complaint from earlier. So, give me a couple minutes here, and I'll load up in the 800 and see. All right. In the 800, definitely something we're more familiar with. Looking at the 800, I believe the 900 does actually look a bit longer. Not too sure. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, it does not save. All right. Well, that is something I will complain about. Yeah, so, well, let's see, actually, because I believe, yeah, save and load configs, let's see, let's load you. I don't even think that works, because earlier I saved that as, like, a thing. I don't, I clicked that, unless, no, it still doesn't, because I had that off. I've never known how any of this works because they've never worked for me. Like if I set U to off and then I save that and then I like close it and then I click load, nothing changes. Like it just don't make sense. So yeah, it's probably because it uses the standard Zibo. They may have not fixed any of the issues. I believe I read on their website that they are I believe they said that they are going to be making it like their own. I believe anyways. I mean, I got time, you know, in the video. So, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look real quick. Google, don't crash anything. LevelUp 737 EFB. Let's look. Oh, come on, Google. Actually, this is not my Wi-Fi fault. This is my drive's fault. Let's look. So one area, it says here, this isn't on their website, but this is an article about it. One area of the threshold LevelUp 737NG series that will be improved in the future is the onboard EFB. According to the Post on Threshold's website, the LevelUp EFB was not quite ready, and to prevent any further delays, the team opted to use the Zibo mod EFB. This EFB has been given a custom skin and accommodates the various aircraft models equipped. So yeah, so they didn't want to delay the release, so, you know, that's not that ideal. You don't typically you don't just pump out a release even when something's not ready. You know, I get not wanting to delay something, but also fully fledged product over, you know, incomplete systems. It's just, yeah. Though it is a freeware, so I can't really complain. I mean, it works fine. The EFB isn't really that big of a thing. It's not that big of a deal, especially if they have plans to fix it. So that's nice. So yeah, they are going to be making their own EFB, which will probably fix all of that. So this was actually this 737 in G series is the official successor to the original Ultimate Mod 737-700 and 737-900. However, it is an overhaul. It is an overhaul of the plane by the Threshold LevelUp team that modernizes the original mod with new features and improvements, and of course it adds in whole new things. They've also promised to have a Boeing business jet and a freighter variant of the 737 series. So a Boeing business jet is essentially a 737. It's a Boeing aircraft that's just privatized. So it's like a private jet essentially. And then of course freighters, obvious. And believe it or not, there are freighter variants of the 737. They're not that common, but you know, they are a thing. And since, you know, why not, we can go ahead and look at the two other planes, which are the 737-700 and the 737-900 ER. Now, I'm also just going to go on something anything. So these Airbus models, they're from Riviera. They're not good. I don't want to diss them because they're freeware, but even from freeware standards, like for reference, this 737, the entire 737 series right here, the Zibo 737, this freeware 747 that I got, they're better. Even this freeware DC3 that I got, which honestly, in my opinion, should not be freeware. I would pay money for this. This is some high quality DC3 stuff. But just these Airbus models, they're freeware, but even for freeware standards, they should be better. I'll hop into like the A320neo in a couple of seconds, in a couple of minutes, because we've seen an A320neo, and just so you'll see what I mean. Again, they're freeware, so you know, don't judge them too harshly. But you know, from what I've seen, freeware wise, it's just it's not I just, you'll see what I mean. Let's take a look at the 700. I haven't looked at it, so I'm actually gonna be curious, what it looks like. So yeah, a couple seconds. All right, loading into the 700. You know, systems wise, looking at the inside, it's very similar. This I think was a little different. This is definitely different. So ooh, didn't mean to do that. I didn't. Okay. So these are different. So this is more so like what we saw on the 747. Instead of like a fuel lever, it's cut off and idle. I believe that's actually part of like an engine auto start thing. Could be wrong. You're still the same, so you're not modernized. In fact, that might be like one of the only systems differences. I'm actually curious. That thing, that fuel thing, is that like actually something I can change? I mean, I have those. Analog. It also just might be dependent on the actual model on the variant. It might not be something I can change. But that just seems a little odd for me to not be able to. Ah, crap. Let me do that. I highly doubt it's visual effects, but I'll look at it just in case. Minute fuel. What? Trim wheel? Well, that's odd. Oh, need reload plane to see changes. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Hardware? Doubt it. Doubt it. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe, like, no, no. If it's not in systems, then it's just not. All right. So yeah, it might just be like very dependent on the actual plane itself. But that is definitely one thing. Looking at the exterior model, you can definitely tell that it's it's longer than the 600, so it doesn't look as awkward, but it's still it's a short boy. But that's pretty cool. The other thing is we've looked at everything, you know, the 900, the 600, 700, and the 800. Now it's time to look at the 737-900ER. The ER stands for extended range. So yeah, let's look at it. And welcome to the 737-900ER. As you can see, we got the same fuel cutout thing. You know, this is all like more modernized and automatic and all that. For the most part, they are very, very similar. Like, very similar. Can't open the windows on any of them, which still upsets me. I just want this to be clear. The fact that I can't open up the windows on any of these is upsetting. I don't know why, but I love being able to open up windows in planes. The default MD-80 has that. I don't really know why. Because I think it's like the only plane that you can, but I don't know why. I love it. There's a Cessna 172 in this game. You can open up the window on it. Actually, you can I mean, you can't open up the window, but you can open up the door. There's also like a little glove box that you can open up. Oddly, okay, so this is odd. There is no business class on this 900ER. Looking at the exterior model, you can definitely tell that it's you know, it's a nice plane. Let's see, how much fuel can this thing hold? 52 tons. 52.5 tons of fuel. That's crazy, actually. But, yeah, so, that's that. Not much. Again, next flight I do in the 737, I want it to be in the 600 just because it's a very major difference. Not necessarily in terms of systems, but exterior-wise, you know, and flight-wise, it is different. Like, it's a little baby plane. I always thought the 600 was longer than that. Like, I mean, you know, the 737-200, like, You know, I don't think it's that short. That's also one thing. I want to see a 737-200. I would like that. There are a couple of flights that are done that are on a 200, like a flight from Yellowknife down to Calgary. That's in a 737-200. There, I believe WestJet does it. The reason why is because I believe um, Yellowknife Airport is gravel, and the 737-200 I believe is the only 737 model that has like gravel guards on the wheels to prevent like gravel from getting shot up into the underbelly, which isn't good. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna go and we're gonna look at like the A320neo, like I said, and you'll see what I mean by nicht gut. All right, here we are. This is the A320 Neo. Real quick, also, 320 Sim Pilot is live, flying an A340-600 from Toulouse, to Madrid. So that's pretty cool. I'll definitely watch that, I think, after this. You know, on the outside, it's nice looking. You know, it's it doesn't look half bad. We got speed brakes don't work. They might be because of, yeah, I don't know. But you know, it's not that. Oh, actually, wait. I think I know why. I believe it probably reset my, yeah. It does that. Now we've got our speed brakes, which can't. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, if you look underneath it, yeah, it doesn't look that right. Ailerons aren't moving, and neither are the elevators. So that is most likely because I don't have any hydraulic power in the aircraft. You know, thrust reversers, they open. I think that's not right. That is not right. Now that's all okay. It's when we hit the cockpit where things you definitely see what I mean. Like, yeah, let's just. So, yeah, it's just, it's rough. It is rough. It's just, you know, you want to turn on the battery. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You actually, uh it's rough, man. I mean, hey, I got an auto brake, so that's something. That's our parking brake. You know, it's rough, man. None of the overhead is completely inoperative except, I believe, yeah, inverters, which aren't even an Airbus thing, anti-ice systems, and lighting. Oh, wait. Scratch that. Scratch that. Not even the light switches work. It's only for inverters and the anti-ice. Again, the Airbus has no. So, how do you turn on the lights? Wait a minute. Wait a gosh darn minute. How do you. I'm honestly surprised, not gonna lie. How do you turn on, like, the lights? The exterior lighting? Like, you can do that, right? Door switch, just. Oh my. Oh, God. Jesus. It's just. I just. It's. You know. Uh, yeah. Yeah. It's. This thing is rough. This thing is rough. Now, again, it is freeware, but like, you know, everything else we just looked at was freeware. I'm gonna show you a 747 because why the heck not? That's also freeware. I'll even, you know what? Actually, I won't. But the 747, it's a Sparky 747. It's a revamp of the default 747. Honestly, I did a transatlantic flight in the default 747. That thing is painful. It's painful. I tried to catch a localizer. Nah. Uh, well, no, it captured the localizer, but it was like 3 miles off course. The glide slope didn't work at all. It was, yeah. So I downloaded the Sparky 747, revamps it. I haven't flown it yet because I don't want to use the 747 for, you know, like a short flight. But I also don't have the time nor the willpower to do a long flight again. Long flights for me really, you know, hurt sometimes. That flight was like 7.5 hours, and it's 7.5 on the dot actually, and it was it almost killed me. That's all I can say because I planned to sleep, I didn't sleep. Yeah, it's just it's a pain, this mod. These Airbus models, which suck. Um, you know, like, okay, to be fair, I'm not gonna say they suck simply because at least he took the time and the effort to make them and release them for free. So I'm not gonna say they suck based on that. Because I don't really want to diss him for actually putting in the time and effort. Like, it might not be good, but at least he tried, you know. At least, at the very least, at the end of the day, he made something that, from what I hear on the comments, works. Um, is it good? No, no, but no. It does suck that it does suck that these models are the only ones that we have for free. Um, the Tolis, you know, they've made an A319 or an A318. They've also made an A321 and their Neo versions, and of course their A340. And I believe they made something else. Nah, they didn't. It was just those three. Which are great. They are fantastic. I've seen videos of them, and I'm probably gonna go watch this in a sec. They're all great. Freeware wise, Airbus, nothing really, and that sucks, you know, because the 737, it's gotten a lot of love for freeware. Zibo and now LevelUp, even the 747 has gotten some love. To be fair though, they're all mostly revamps of either default aircraft or older aircraft, so that does make sense. But still, you know, there are no default Airbus aircraft, but there will be an X-Plane 12. They have a default A330, which is, you know, that's fantastic. I just do wish there were some freeware models, or at least a freeware model for the Airbus that you know, was actually very good. That DC3 I was talking about, it's freeware. I can't remember who made it. I can't even remember where I got it from. But it's a freeware DC3. You can probably find it by literally looking up X-Plane 11 free DC3 or just X-Plane 11 DC3, which I think that's what I looked up. It is fantastic. It should not be freeware. It should be payware for the quality that it is. It is a fantastic aircraft from what I've flown with it. It's great. It's completely custom too. Actually, wait, no, I don't even think that might not be custom. I think it's actually a revamp of a outdated DC3. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember, but you know, it's still freeware. It's a great aircraft. There are a lot of great freeware aircraft. There's even better payware aircraft for X-Plane 11. Meanwhile, Microsoft Flight Sim, you have a bunch of payware aircraft that suck and a bunch of freeware aircraft that are fantastic. I don't ask how that's possible. Hopefully though, as the sim ages and it gets more ironed out, developers start actually like making good products for it, because right now people are just throwing in their products to get some money. But hopefully once it actually gets ironed out, more people like Aerosoft and PMDG will bring a more realistic, true to life payware aircraft, or even freeware, but you know, probably payware aircraft to Microsoft Flight Sim. You know, PMDG is making their 737, should be out sometime this year, early this year, and then their 777 and 747 coming in the next few years probably. Um, we also, I believe we have some payware Airbus aircraft coming. I can't remember. Um, there are some freeware aircraft in the works. I'm following some programs for freeware A220, A330, A350, fly-by-wire with their A380 that they're making, because I believe that's going to be freeware. Qubit is making a 737. Synaptic, I believe, is making an A220. Yeah, so there's quite a Arboro Jets is making some Embraers. I don't know if the project is still alive. However, last I looked, there wasn't a progress update, and there hasn't been for a while. I haven't heard any word of their ERJs for a while. Hopefully it's still working. Hopefully they're still working on it. If so, that's going to be fantastic, because I'd love to see some Embraers for Microsoft Flight Sim. Some good high quality Embraers. Hopefully Captain Sim, you know, makes some nice products for the sim. You know, hopefully he redoes his 777s to make them better. Uh, I was also following a freeware L1011, but I think that project hasn't had a single word of it from the developers since like June of last year. So I no, it was May actually. Sorry, May of last year. So I believe it's dead. There was TDI Sims or something. I think they were making that MD11. We looked at that. So an MD11 is great. We're getting a lot of hopefully high quality stuff from Microsoft Flight Sim here soon, which will be great. X-Plane 11, you know, if you're looking for some high quality stuff, look at Aerosoft, Flight Factor, Tolus. If you want Airbus, definitely go with Tolus. They make some great stuff. And Rotate Sim 2 with their MD80 that they have out right now, and their soon to be MD11, which, if all goes well with beta testing, it should be out sometime this year, which will definitely be great. They've been working on it for years. Like I think they started work on it in like 2017 apparently. If I remember right, it was like in 2017 when they first announced it. So that's great. And then of course, yeah, it's in beta testing right now. Hopefully it doesn't take too long for beta testing. It may, you know, it could take, you know, anywhere from like 2 more months, or could take like 2 years. We don't really know. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. Hopefully it's out sometime this year. I'd hope for it to be out, you know. I mean, I'd love if it came out, if it got out of beta testing like now. That'd be awesome. But I personally say a nice little time zone for it to come out would probably be like summer of this year. That's when I estimate it coming out, and if not summer, then like probably the later months, like October, November, December, probably around there, as like a late this year thing. Like if it's gonna be releasing this year and it doesn't happen in the middle of this year, it'll probably happen then, or it might happen anywhere from like May to July. And if not, then yeah, I could be wrong. I have no idea, but you know, I'm hoping it comes out this year, because I've looked for MD11s. I cannot find any nice MD11s, which sucks because I love MD11s. But yeah, that's my guesstimation. Also, I'm pretty sure I've been just on a spiel for like 30 minutes, so I very much apologize. That just puts more work on me, if I'm being honest, because you guys don't have to watch this far. But yeah. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and I'm like dead tired, like so tired. Yeah. I'm I can't go to bed, so I'm a struggle to stay awake. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. I will not promise that the next time I record will be in the 737-600, but next time I do a 737 flight, it will definitely be in the 600. I feel like the next thing I'd want to do is revisit the A320neo. It's been a while since we've flown that aircraft. It's actually been, let me look. Let me just load up my account real quick. There we go. Your videos. Last time we flew the A320, it was 2 months ago. 2 months ago was the last time we flew the A320neo. I'd also like at some point to revisit the DC-6. It's actually a few aircraft I'd like for us to revisit. The A320, like I said, is one of them. I would also like to at some point revisit the CRJ, because we haven't flown that many. I don't fly that aircraft that often, simply due to its lack of auto throttle. I just can't relax with it. I can't ever find a good power setting, and I don't like just sitting here making very minor adjustments to the throttle. So that does dissuade me from flying it a lot. I'd definitely like to revisit the 747, because it's been a while since we've flown that. I did have a plan, actually, to do a trans-Pacific flight on it. I wanted to fly from San Francisco to Korea, to like Seoul in South Korea, and the 747-8 from Microsoft Flight Sim, but then I remembered Microsoft Flight Sim is an unstable POS, so I didn't, and I kind of put it off, and I haven't even thought about it for a long time. I don't really have the time, because that's like a 13-hour flight. Don't have the time to do that. I don't, like, at all. I also don't have the brain power to do that. I definitely sleep during it. But yeah, so far the only thing I'm comfortable with is doing that on X-Plane, but X-Plane still has some issues. The reason why I didn't sleep on the flight that I did in X-Plane on that 747 was because, you know, like I said earlier when I was fueling up the 737, is there are variations, there are differences between SimBrief, the profile on SimBrief, and the actual in-game plane. So even though SimBrief says, hey, I need this much fuel, there is no way of actually being sure that I'm not going to run out of fuel, because the plane is different than what SimBrief says it is, and so it has a higher fuel rate. Believe it or not, that was actually a thing. That was actually a problem. I did actually have to refuel mid-flight. I had to pump up my fuel because I was running out. So yeah, that is something. So that's definitely something that is that's dissuading me from doing a 13-hour flight like that, because if I did go to sleep and then ran out of fuel, well, yeah. Hopefully, I hope that actually, wait, I'm sorry. I think I have that confused. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't need to. I'm thinking of when I was flying the Sparky 747, and I was doing that. I was pretty much doing a return flight, essentially. Kind of. I'd flown from New York to Paris, and then I was flying from, I think I was actually flying from Paris to San Francisco. And so there's like a lot of step climbs to that, and I was super tired. And that also is like a 13-hour flight, but I was so goddamn tired that I didn't feel like waiting there so I could do those step climbs. So I just said, hey, you know what? Climb to the max altitude that you'll be cruising out across the Atlantic. That was a horrible idea. Don't ever do that. If you have step climbs in a sim, follow those step climbs, because they're there for a reason. Because I went and I laid down for a couple of minutes, and I was like, well, actually, you know, it's probably not a good idea. I should probably check on it and see how bad of a situation I'm in. I came back. The autopilot was disconnected. I was flying off away from the flight path. Like, I was flying east towards like Germany. The autopilot was disconnected. I was about to stall, and I was at like 20,000, 26,000 feet, not climbing at all. So yeah, by the time I actually got the plane back up to speed and back up onto the flight plan and was climbing again, I didn't have enough fuel to make it. And then I tried to refuel mid-air, but the way the refueling method works on the Sparky 747, because I was using that, it's not the same. So I confused it with that. So it probably would be able to make it. It probably would keep to the pretty close within my fuel constraints if I wasn't an idiot, which I am. So I will definitely at some point do a trans-Pacific flight like that in the 747. Or if Fly-by-Wire releases their A380, the A380. But that's not going to happen for a few months because, like I said, I do not have time for a 13-hour flight. I just do not. Like, actually, I scratched that. I do have time. I could do it over a weekend. Like, if I got home from school, I get home at like 3 p.m. If I took off at like 7 p.m. on a Friday, 12 hours would be 7 a.m. So if I just woke up early on Saturday, I'd be able to make it. I could definitely do something like that. So I could do it. It's just typically I don't do that. I don't like doing that. Because that also means I would have like 3 hours of screwing around on my phone, going to sleep, waking up, and then having like an additional 4 hours of doing nothing. See why I don't like doing that? Nothing would really change if I did that over anything. Yeah, it's just a lot of patience goes into being able to do a long flight like that. And I mean, the longest I've flown is 8.5 hours in an A330 from Paris to New York, and that was boring. Now, I've definitely flying the DC-6 where long flights are common. It has definitely brought up my patience of doing transatlantic flights. Like, I can sit through 7.5 hour flight, 8.5 hour flight, and even though it's boring, it's not like, oh my god, please kill me. So yeah, I would like to do that again. A320, of course, DC-6 eventually, 737-600X, DC-10. I do want to start flying that more. It's a nice plane. I have wanted to do a transatlantic flight in the DC-10-30. However, Flight Sim X is scary in terms of stability. Worse than Microsoft Flight Sim. It scares me. I don't want to be 5 hours into a 7.5 hour flight and then it crashed, because that happened to me in Microsoft Flight Sim once, and I wanted to cry my eyes out. Hey, except it was 7 hours into a 13-hour flight, so, But yeah, anyways, I've been on a tangent for like 40 minutes. I deeply apologize for that, but hey, you don't have to watch this part. So if you did, thank you. If you didn't, well, I don't really blame you. So, next time we're going to be doing something, please give me route suggestions, from like to and where. And if you want an aircraft suggestion, like say what aircraft you'd like to see it on. As long as it's actually possible, do not tell me to fly a Cessna across the ocean. I would also like if you did not tell me routes that are like 20 hours long, because that I will never do. I will never do a flight that long, because that is painful. That is torture. That fits the term cruel and unusual punishment. So something that's possible, something that's not entirely too long, like I'd say 13 hours max, maybe 14. Don't give me an aircraft that just can't do it. Like I said, don't tell me to fly a Cessna 172 across the ocean, because that is literally impossible. So yeah, I ask this because playing Flight Sim for so many hours, I've done so many routes that, well, I haven't actually. That's the sad part. I have a very hard time of flying interesting routes because I go with what's, pretty like a common, and something being really cool and all that in Flight Sim is usually less common. So that's like when I started flying that DC-6 up in Yellowknife, that's like up and around Northwest Territories. That's not very common. You don't really see that a lot. So that definitely made it more interesting. and fun to do. And I just have a hard time finding. Like, if I didn't start watching Ice Pilots, I never would have done that. So yeah, give me some suggestions of like to fly from and where. Give an aircraft suggestion, um, and I'll probably do it eventually. Um, and no promises that it would be close to the time you like asked it. I can't promise that because I don't go into my flight sim account a lot unless I'm uploading really, and also life is a thing. Uh, though right now my brain doesn't feel like it because it's about to stop living because I've been speaking for 40 minutes and I'm like tired. Anyways, I'm just gonna end this now before I go on another tangent. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.